The storm that morning, thunder rolled like drums of war, and lightning tore the sky in angry flashes. Yet still they came. Tired travelers, noble chiefs, wealthy men, and desperate souls, hurrying into the grand cathedral of Bishop Chima. Some sought healing, others chased salvation, but all were drawn by his name. The cathedral shook with song, drums pounded, trumpets blared, and voices rose like a mighty flood. People filled the hall until there was no space to stand. They had come from distant towns, farmers, chiefs, traders, even weary mothers carrying sick children. All came for one man, Bishop Chima. Whispers passed through the crowd. They say he sees the heart of every man. They say he's the only man on earth that performs miracles like Elijah. They say one touch and your sickness flees. They say he's the billionaire bishop. Every gaze was fixed on Bishop Chima when he stepped onto the altar, the man whose fame had consumed the city like fire, his robe shimmering white, his staff gleaming like polished gold. The crowd gasped as though heaven itself had descended, his voice rolling like thunder through the cathedral. Today, the chains of sickness will break. The hall erupted. Men shouted. Women wept. Children clapped their hands. From the side, a man in a wheelchair was pushed forward. His face was tired, his eyes dull with years of pain. The crowd parted, holding their breath. Bishop Chima, holding his staff, just stood back of the man. With a commanding voice, he told the man to walk. Suddenly, the man leapt up, his legs strong, his arms lifted. He danced across the altar, shouting, "I can walk! I can walk!" The cathedral exploded in joy. Some fell to their knees. People wept, cried, and pressed forward, desperate to touch the bishop's garment. But not everyone was blind with awe. At the back of the hall, a young lady, a devoted Christian named Inkem, shook her head. She was invited to the church by her friend. The man on the wheelchair face looked familiar. He lived close to her, and she did not remember him being on a wheelchair. Her spirit did not follow with the bishop. She had heard stories in the past of fake men of God, but she didn't believe just stories. She whispered to her friend sitting close to her, "Not every miracle is from God." Her words were swallowed by the shouts of the crowd. Bishop Chima had become untouchable. His story was everywhere. How he had once been a poor boy from a Munya village, was only child of an evangelist, known for his prayers and songs in church. When Chima was only 10 years old, he walked beside his father on long evangelistic journeys. His voice thundered across villages whose Bible was worn from use and whose life was marked by sacrifice. While other children chased goats through the fields or splashed in the river, Chima walked beside his father on long evangelistic journeys. From one village to another they went, through forests where owls cried at night, across dusty paths where the sun scorched the ground. Chima was only 10, bare and thin, but his spirit burned with zeal. He carried no burden but the fire of prayer. His lips shaped scriptures as though he had been born to preach them. At dawn, before the cock crowed, his knees already pressed the floor. He prayed for the sick, for the poor, for the salvation of his people. Villagers admired him deeply. "This boy," they said, "is different. Surely he will become a great man of God." When crusades were held, Chima's young voice rose above the drums. He sang with fire, prayed with power, and carried himself like a vessel of light. His father often laid a hand on his head. Pini is like a river. It begins clear, but bends where the earth pulls it. Years passed. His father grew frail, his journeys shorter. On his deathbed, the old man called Chima close. His eyes dim with age, but sharp with wisdom, fixed on his, he whispered, "Never trade the fire of prayer for the gold of this world. Hold fast to God, for the road ahead will test you."
Tears fell down Chima's cheeks. He promised his dad. They believed the boy would carry his father's light to the ends of the earth. His mom was very proud of him. Chima carried the burden of his dad and continued the evangelistic outreach. The twist of destiny ahead. The fire of his youth would one day dim. The hunger for God's kingdom would weaken, and in its place another hunger would rise, one that did not lead to heaven's gate. Pastor Chima, for 9 years, had labored to keep his church alive. His hands built benches, his voice lifted prayers, and his heart organized charity outreaches for the poor. But where are the visions? They asked. Where are the miracles? They whispered. And one by one, they walked away until only 9 members remained, among them his 3 beloved children, Ade, just 10, Julie, only 8, and Chima Jr., 16. His wife Jane stood like a pillar beside him, an evangelist with a gentle spirit. She reminded him often, "Do not compare yourself, my husband. Purpose. Your time will come." Her salary from small crusades and his little farm kept the family fed, though never satisfied. But when Chima looked around, he saw other pastors rising like kings, their churches swelling like rivers in the rainy season, and envy began to root. His closest friend, Pastor Ade, was one of them. "Chima," Ade would say, "this Bible you are carrying around, you will never grow, boys. My spiritual father has made many. Look at me. Rich, powerful, respected. You're wasting your years." Chima resisted, but each night the thought returned. Why did his friend prosper while he toiled in shadows? One Wednesday evening, Pastor Ade brought him to the cathedral of his mentor, Prophet John, a man with wealth like a crowd's bow. After service, the 3 sat in a scented office, lit with golden lamps.
Prophet John laughed as he heard Chima's story. Empty seats? Little offerings? 6 years wasted? His laughter rolled like thunder. There is an easy way. Riches, growth, power. But you must be willing to pay the sacrifice. Under the pale watch of the moon, they led Chima to a secret forest. The snake god, whispering ancient language Chima could not understand. There the demand was spoken. His wife, his 3 children, lined forever, and never to remarry again. Chima's heart froze. He fell to his knees and tears streamed down his face. He loved them deeply, more than his own breath. Jane had carried his burdens. His children were the light of his eyes. He remembered the promise he made to his late dad on his deathbed, to never trade the fire of prayer for the gold of this world. But ambition wrestled against love, and sweat poured down his face. The snake god hissed louder, as though mocking his hesitation. Prophet John's voice cut through the night. "Choose now, or return to your empty church, your wasted years, your..." When he faltered, Pastor Ade pressed a hand on his shoulder. "Every great man of God has paid a price," he whispered. "This is nothing new. Sacrifice is the path." The words chained him. His head bowed, he gave the offering. The offering was made. The snake god drank deeply. Blood was swallowed, but it was not only flesh that died that night. It was Chima's innocence, his future, and the last light of his soul. When he rose, the snake was wrapped around his body. He felt oil around his heart, a serpent tightening its grip. His eyes gleamed with unnatural fire. He had been marked. From that night, Chima's church grew like wildfire. He got spiritual powers. He knew what he had traded. His children's laughter was gone,
and his wife's embrace. He was a changed man with an hardened heart. Soon after they began to call him Bishop, everything changed. It was as though miracles themselves had learned his name and followed him wherever he went. In markets, women no longer shouted the price of their tomatoes without first whispering, "Have you heard what Bishop did yesterday?" In palaces, chiefs spoke his name with respect, traders him across borders. Mothers carried their sick children on their backs, walking miles barefoot, just to sit in the corner of his church. In the city, they watched his miracles videos on TV. The crowds grew so vast that his cathedral could no longer contain them. They ran 3 services on Sunday. The air God, pray for us. Bishop, speak a word. Soon, even chiefs, nobles, and businessmen knelt before him. Those who once looked down on him now sought his touch. Lined the dusty village road. Wealthy women in gold headscarves, farmers in torn clothes, all equal in their desperation, all waiting for the bishop's hand. It became impossible to reach him without protocol. A system was created. First ushers, then personal assistants. Do you want Bishop's prayer? Then wait. The list is full. You must book in advance. At first, the waiting list was 1 week. Then it became 1 month. Then 6 whole months. Imagine, a mother with a sick child had to wait for 6 months before he could lay his hands on her child. Some sold land just to secure an appointment. Others bribed his assistants to move their names higher on the list. And when entered trembling, hearts pounding, believing that stepping into Bishop Chima's office was like stepping into heaven's court. Wednesday was no ordinary day in Bishop Chima's church.